Hey everybody, Jimmy from the Triple C Collective here for another Superhero Saturday. Today we're going to be diving into the series Miss Marvel. I'm really excited about this. I don't really like like most of the stuff like short of like the X-Men and Spider-Man when it came to Marvel and before the MCU. Really didn't know much about anything that they've shown us. Like, I didn't really care about Iron Man, didn't really care about Captain America. Hulk was always a really cool character to me, so I liked all of that stuff. But really, I was like an X Men and Spider Man guy. And so that's the one thing that I have liked a lot about the MCU. So when they said that they were gonna add Miss Marvel to the slate of the Disney Plus shows, I was pretty excited about it. One thing that they did add before the series dropped this week is that they dropped a little documentary called A Guide to Miss Marvel, and that was cool. It's like a little 4 or 5 minute doc, so it's like nothing like super crazy or like time consuming or whatever. But it was great. It was really cool. It talks about like some of the producers, directors, and stuff, like all of the creative people, and it talks like we get introduced to Aman Vellani, who is Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel in this. We get introduced to her friend Bruno and all of that kind of stuff. It was cool. It was a little behind the scenes thing of it, and it was basically all for like the first episode. Like once you watch the first episode, if you watch the first episode and then you watch the guide, you'll see that it's all any footage you see in there is all from the first episode. If you watch the guide and then you watch it, like you'll see like, oh yeah, I saw that in there and blah 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 blah. But it was really cool. It's really worth the watch. It was a fun little introduction. Aman here, she really appears to have always been a huge fan of Captain Marvel. Like they're in this little a fan's guide to Miss Marvel. They show her picture of her own like homemade cosplay costume of Miss Marvel because she was a fan. She was actually like reading those comics and stuff like before she got the role. So that was really cool. That was really cool to kind of find out about that she has such a connection to the character before even like diving in and like getting into like the character and everything and the story that they're gonna tell. uh, it was cool. It was cool to hear about that. But let's dive into episode one. Episode one was really great. This first episode is really awesome. It does a really great job of setting up all of the players that we're going to see here. Does a really great job of setting us up with Kamala and her family, her mom, her dad, her brother, her friend Bruno, and it's just great. It's really awesome, and the opening of this, the needle drop of it is great. I love the music in it. The music is a great blend of like popular now like modern music or whatever, but also what I can only assume is close to like a traditional like Pakistani kind of music. Traditional could be the wrong word in that, but I don't know. I would equate it to the same as like Irish Celtic music or whatever. And so like that was really great to hear because it was really good. It was really cool. It added a nice little like liveliness to it. Like again, the blend of having like the needle drops, like what we get at the beginning of this episode, and then the regular musical score all throughout. It's really great. It's a great little blend in everything of it. Um, but probably one of the most interesting things that this whole episode does and that this whole story does is the use of animation, and like digital effects on like the walls and in the sky. They do it all throughout it, with talking or like either between text conversations or to at the beginning here we get Kamala, like she has her own uh, Baby Sloth Productions is her YouTube channel that they have, and she made a 10-part YouTube like her own version of Endgame basically, and that's kind of like how our introduction is. It looks like she just draws and makes little like paper cutouts and like does like basically what Trey Parker and Matt Stone did at the beginning of South Park and did like stop motion animation basically, and it's really cool. It's a really neat thing to do, and how they introduce it and how it doesn't feel stale throughout the episode, because it is they change it slightly throughout, but they just use additional animation layered on top of like the live action stuff that they shot, and so it was really cool. This whole series, or this whole episode, was really great. I haven't watched the whole series because it hasn't been released yet, and I do not get early screenings. I wait like everybody else who pays for Disney Plus every Wednesday. But with all of that being said, like the episode's really great. The opening here, we get the little like podcast, or not the podcast, but like her YouTube channel that she is making the videos on. It's great. She mentions that she believes that Thor is a gamer and stuff, which is also really funny because again, that's like revealed to us in Endgame when they go grab Thor, and then we find Bro Thor there and everything like that, and he is online and he is like gaming and stuff. So then that almost makes me wonder if he's still gaming, if we're gonna find like Thor still like gaming with the Guardians and stuff somehow. I don't know. I'm getting way off topic on that, but she gets we get the taste of like her family. Her brother is an older brother. Like probably loves his sister, but is definitely giving her a hard time right now. Her parents are just your typical parents and whatnot, and she's just a teenager about to go in junior year, about to go try and get her driver's or go for her driver's test, and this is great. Like she she fails the driving test because she backs into like full on reverses into her teacher's drive, into her student like or student driver, yeah, her driving instructor's car, and it is absolutely hilarious. It's a great little bit. Ooh, excuse me. But yeah, it's a great little bit of her running into her teacher's a car, and her mom is like, I've taught her how to drive like myself. And her dad's like, you expect her to to signal at every turn and touch every single mirror and stuff, and he's like, I don't think the mirrors had anything to do with it, but I would expect her to signal at every turn and everything. And they're going with it. It's just funny because these are all the things that they were like, hey, make sure you don't have to worry about that, and like you'll be okay and everything. And then she like straight up, no, it's not even that she like failed to yield or something like that. Straight up reversed her instructor's car is getting towed away. It's, oh my god, it's so funny. I love it so much. I love it so much. Driving home is also really interesting because it's like it's that really weird expectation that like families can like put on their, or like parents can put on their kids of like, oh yeah, we need you to get this because once you get this then you can do all of these things for us, no problem, no questions asked and stuff. And like that's what her mom's saying. Her mom's like, "Oh no, like you won't be able to help me with the errands for your brother's wedding like you were supposed to. You won't be able to do all these things and stuff for me." And it's like, I don't know. I was just in an accident. I just backed into my driver, my driving instructor's car. Like maybe we don't may try and like full on like hit me with the guilt trip here, mom. I mean, I don't know, maybe not. But it was like it was so great like to see that. I've definitely felt like that before, so like been in the back seat after that being like, oh man. And then it's just like oh man, it was great, it was awesome. uh then we get like a jump in time. It's like the next day she's at school. She's seeing her friend Bruno. He lost a bet to their other friend. They're walking through the halls, like talking about like Super Smash Brothers, playing Nintendo. Hanging out playing Nintendo. And her guidance counselor or whatever calls her over the PA. She goes in and she's meeting with him. Mr. Wilson, Gabe, Mr. Wilson is his father. Well, Gabe is also his father's name, so that really doesn't work. That's a great little bit. But this is awesome because like we also get the classic. I mean, the classic thing, or maybe not even a classic thing anymore. But what I've always felt to be true is that like in high school, like you've got like almost no attention span, and she kind of starts drifting away a little bit, and it's awesome. And like her guidance counselor, Mr. Wilson, we literally started this meeting 30 seconds ago and you're already drifting off. Like, come on, give me a hand here. Like, come on, stay with me and stuff. And it's really awesome. It's really interesting. The use of like how either drifting again, the use of how they bring in animation to both work for like her like YouTube channel, and how to kind of explain like other like to kind of show like emotions of like scenes and stuff. It's really great. It's really brilliant on how they do it through all of it. And this is one of those scenes like the clock starts going all crazy and everything. Like I love it. It's so good. She gets Mr. Wilson starts quoting Mulan to her, and like oh man, it like it was so good. It was so good. She goes back into the hallway with like Bruno, and they're talking about the Avenger Con and the costume and being Captain and like dressing up as Captain Marvel, because Captain Marvel is like so cool. Like obviously at the beginning in that opening like little. I called it an animatic in my notes, but really it's like just a stop motion animation, a stop motion short. And so with the stop motion short and everything, she talks about like Carol Danvers and Captain Marvel and how much that she like loves her and like kind of admires her and everything like that. So that's why for like the first ever Avenger Con that they're doing, that they decide or that she decided to do, Kamala decided to make a costume for Captain Marvel. And obviously the show is called Miss Marvel, so there's got to be some connection to the Marvel family or the Marvel universe outside of Marvel Comics. um, and the costume's actually really cool. That it like for like it looks like a handmade, like a homemade costume, but it looks like a really good homemade costume, like legit. I was like, I thought that was pretty good. I thought like you would definitely see that at a Comic-Con, which I'm really excited to start going to again this year. I'm super excited to go back to them. I'm going to two this year, but that's beside the point. The costume's really great, and then they, they left the school. I'm sorry. Kamala and Bruno like left the school. They go to some like convenience store that I'm not really sure why Bruno's able to just openly airbrush paint the suit in there. It seems to be a legitimate business that's being run. I just have questions. I might have missed something there, but I don't know. Either way, that's where they're actually airbrushing and talking about going to the Avenger Con and everything like that. Since she didn't pass her driving test, though, they still need a way to get there. And so Bruno's like, dude, just ask your mom. She's not a horrible, awful person. Like, and Kamala's like, well, no, she kind of thinks I'm weird, and she doesn't understand anything of mine or anything that I like, and all of that. And I get it. I get it. Just like her guidance counselor, Mr. Wilson was like, I get it. I get it. So funny. But we're back at Kamala Khan's house now. After Bruno and her go their separate ways, and he's like, hey, just ask. It's the only option we got. Kamala gets not just directed to her, but is the first one to go through it, a package from her nanny. And we get a cool looking bracelet. It seems to be just all kind of junk jewelry for the most part, but then there's this big kind of honking cool looking bracelet. I can only call it a bracelet, but it's a big one. It's that big or whatever. It's a huge one, or at least I thought it was big. Either way, it was a cool looking bracelet that was from her nanny, who I can only assume is her grandmother. Could be an aunt. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Nani is just a simple nickname like grandma or granny or whatever, or if it's another name for aunt or something that's used over in Pakistan. I have no idea. Please let me know if you do know. Anyhow, moving on. The package from Nanny has the bracelet, and this is a really odd thing. It's Kamala asks about it, and her mom right away is it's nothing but junk, and goes right looking for it, and kind of going after it right away to try and put it away. And it definitely made me ask some questions of Mom, do you know that there's something wrong or something odd going on here with this here bracelet that we got? Why you it was a big reaction, and it stood out to me, and I just didn't understand it right away. But she was like, it's just junk, and goes and takes it, and calls her brother, and then gives her brother a talking to, I called you a couple of times, and I need you to take this up there and put it in the attic or whatever. So I wonder if her mom knows something a little bit more about that bracelet, that she's actually oh god, I can't believe we actually got this now. Actually, you know what, now that I think about it, Nani is probably a name for a grandmother, because Kamala's mom does say that Nani is her mom, so that makes sense. But then Mom and Kamala get dressed to go on the errands that Kamala was supposed to do probably on her own, or could have done on her own, but now her mom needs to come with her because they need the car and to travel and stuff together. And they go dress shopping, and they go into whatever store section of the city or whatever, and they start shopping around. Kamala's trying on a nice red gown dress garment. I don't know if there's a special name for it or anything, but it just looked like a nice little, I shouldn't say little, but a nice red gown. They kept saying that she was, they actually were really rude to her, I thought, the entire time. Her mom, her mom at first was trying to defend her, and then, but they kept calling her short, that, you're too short, and then their mom's like, the dress is too long, and it just seems like a lot of arguing sometimes. And I didn't get that. It seemed like they knew the workers at this store and stuff, and like were even friends, and they were just kind of like picking fights with each other. It was weird. But then, whatever, another friend of, uh, another friend of Kamala's mother comes into the store and tells the story of Fatima, who was set to be engaged and then called off the engagement and decided to travel Europe to go find herself. And Kamala was like, good for her. And the gentleman dressing Kamala was like, oh, she's crazy. Like, she's crazy. And they were like, oh, yeah, she's crazy. Talking about Kamala. It was weird. It was weird because I'm on Team Kamala for that. Like, good for Fatima for being like, no, I'm not ready for commitment and getting married and all of that. I need to go figure out what I want, so I'm gonna go do that. Good for her. But so that was really weird. Uh, we also then once we get back from that, we see Bruno is at Kamala's house, and they are. Bruno has just set up the Zuzu system, which is basically like an Alexa or Google Home, but Bruno created it himself, and he connected everything again in the house to that so that he can uh, so that he can talk to it. He can also talk to it in his native Pakistani language, not just in English. I think it was called Yuldi. Is it could be called a dialect maybe. I'm unsure of how all of that would of how that breaks down. But either way, that it's supposed to recognize their native Pakistani language as well, along with English that they were speaking regularly in their house. And so that was all really cool. It's really interesting just seeing the life of this 16-year-old girl. It's really cool because it feels very much so what you would expect from a Spider-Man, either Peter Parker or Miles Morales TV show. Yeah, we get a bunch of the Peter Parker movies and stuff. Not complaining about them. I love those movies, but and Into the Spider-Verse is fantastic, right, and amazing. However, we would get. If we were to ever get a TV series of a high school Peter Parker, I really feel what we are getting here in Miss Marvel is really that. And it's cool. I really like the feel and the tone and stuff that they're going for here. All of this stuff is really sweet, and I'm really loving it. Uh, so once they're back home, Bruno's explaining the Zuzu system. As he's leaving, he's like, make sure you ask her because asking your mom to take us and going and stuff is the last chance that we have. Uh, Bruno leaves. Kamala asks, and basically her parents are like, you want to go to a party at night with whoever, it doesn't matter. Even if it is Bruno, they all seem to like Bruno, Kamala's mom and dad. So it's not a matter of that. They just don't want her going to a party or something. And she's like, hey, if this was Amir here asking about it, her brother, you guys would do this in a second for him. You'd jump at the opportunity to say yes, but it's me, so you say no. You don't trust me. And her mom's like, you're right, I don't trust you. Dad's like, no, don't say that. We do trust her. Nope. And mom's like, nope, I do not trust you. And so they go back and forth and stuff about it, and then Kamala just ends up not winning the battle. So she's texting Bruno and letting Bruno know that she has letting Bruno know that her dad or that her mom has said no, um, and that they can't go. And this is another thing of where they're using the animation. They have like sad faces and stuff on it. We also see Bruno riding his bike, and again we get like sad faces on like the neon lights of like the building by him and everything like that. It's so cool. It's so well done. It's really neat stuff here, and we also get Amir then coming in and being like, "Hey, you did not go about that the right way, but I respect your play and I respect you trying to like, go and like do that and everything. Like, as your older brother, respect for the play. Like, it didn't work out right at all. It was never going to work out right that way. But you're right. Let me go talk to him. I'll go talk to him. I'll go talk to mom and dad for you, and I'll talk to him about Avengers Con. So like as he's bringing her chai tea, which is really insane because it's like we see him hand it to her, she gets it, and then we see basically like a slight turn of her, and then the chai tea is gone. Like the cup is gone. It like she never drinks it. We never see her put it to her lips, really. I don't really think we get a good clear shot of it ever on an end table or anything. It's just like she kind of just turns and it's just poof, gone, wherever. And so it's just really interesting. It's really fun. Excuse me. It's really funny. But so he does. Her brother goes and talks to her parents and everything. We get a great use of more of the stars in the animation. Like she has like a table light that has the light coming through the top, but it also then has like metal punched holes or like maybe not, it may not be made of metal, it could be made of plastic, but it has punched holes through it that are the shape of stars. And again, like we have like the little lamp thing, her Kamala's face, and then we have the stuff of like the stars and everything going on over here, and that's all really cool. That was really sweet. Again, it's that really great use of the animation that they do here, along with the live action, that is just so cool. It was neat. It was a really cool thing to see. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And then we get Bruno saying like, hey, he gets we get used to like Bruno is all the way home. It's it's great. It's freaking great. All of the animation and stuff there. We have a tough conversation. It's almost like the next day, next night, or it kind of seems like that. I don't know. It could possibly even be maybe later that night. But I'm not sure about the time frame here. It's a kind of an interesting little jump. But either way, Kamala's mom makes a costume, like a cosplay costume for her and her dad to be Big Hulk and Little Hulk to go to AvengerCon, and that's the way that she can go. Because her brother talked to her parents, and that if she allows her dad to go in there for 2 hours with her and they dress alike like that, he will leave and then they can hang out and they can go do all of their stuff then by themselves. And Kamala couldn't agree to it. She has a really tough conversation with her parents, even on the verge of like being kind of mean to her dad. I agree with her. It is a little bit embarrassing, but that's the time for her to be like, no, 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 Dad, you be just the Hulk. I be Captain Marvel. Bruno will be Tony Stark or whoever or whatever, and then we can be our own little like mini Avengers team. I know there's a group of writers' rooms and stuff, but like that's that's the way to go. And it's like, yeah, then you want to hang out for 2 hours with us? Cool. Everyone's gonna want to take pictures and stuff. It'll be a great time. That's what that. That's the answer. But that's not how it goes. She has a really tough conversation. Her dad's like pretty hurt about it because he seemed like really psyched to do it, and to like kind of spend some time. Like he he may not understand like all of like the fandom and stuff of hers and stuff, and everything that she enjoys, but he is at least like trying to understand it and like wants to try and like be a part of her life. So he, he thought it was a good idea. His intentions were right. He had good intentions there. It's just forcing the costume on or something else. But like him going there, like I said, I thought would have been like a really great idea. That would have been fun, and that's how you do it. You're like, no, because see, I have this, and her mom is also worried about like really the sexualization of like women and like the women superheroes and like wearing too tight of clothing and all of that conversation. I am not going to get into that at all. But it's a concern for Kamala's mother of like being like no the like like the idea of having like your like respect for yourself and like modesty, I guess. And so she was like really worried about that, but she was like, hey, if you're the little Hulk wearing this wearing this thing that I made you, then like, hey, you can go, you're fine, no worries. But she didn't invite Kamala, never even brought up the Captain Marvel thing for obviously like knowing what her mom would knowing how her mom feels. Uh, After that tough conversation, she calls Bruno again, and he's like, "Hey, come over, meet me on the rooftop." And that's what they do. They hang out on the rooftop. She's like, "I really hurt my dad. I made him cry." And Kamala's like really down on herself. She's like, maybe they are right. Maybe I spent too much time with like my fantasy and the art and the costumes. And Bruno's like, who are they? And she's like, my mom, my dad, Mr. Wilson. Like I'm supposed to figure out my future and stuff. And then we get like just the classic great best friend move here in Bruno. He gets a for her costume. He gets her gloves out, and she goes. Kamala also tells the story of Fatima and how she was like, I was really like happy for her, but everyone was like, oh, she's all crazy and she's wasting her life and blah 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 blah. And Kamala's also like, no brown girls from Jersey City are like Captain Marvel or like superheroes or anything like that. And Bruno does the right. It's like if you want to be one, you can be one. You will be one. Not even can be. You will be one. Which is just like great classic best friend stuff. Always supporting each other and doing everything together and stuff. I love it. This rooftop scene was really great and really special. It really made their friendship probably feel the most real. Not saying that I didn't believe any bit of Kamala and Bruno's friendship up until this point. It's just after you see this, if you weren't, I guess I should say, if you weren't sold on them being friends or the believability of their friendship previous to this scene, you should be here. If not, I don't know if you have good friends around you. May want to reevaluate the people around your life. But as he's saying, like, you will or you can't, you will save the world if you want. Then he gives her the gloves with the right equipment and everything. Then we get another day in her life a little bit. Kamala goes back to gym class. We see her get hit in the face, busted up bloody nose. Somebody brings her an ice pack. She gets she gets home. Her mom is still mad at her. Her dad is mad at the Zuzu wanting Bruno to come fix it. And then this is where Kamala gets her plan to action for Avengers Con. She is I love this little bit because she's explaining her plan to Bruno, and she's like, at this time at dinner, I'm going to excuse myself, and everyone's going to be like, yeah, we love you, Kamala, yeah, it's great, great. And she's like, all right, I got to dip out of here later. She's going to put on her costume and jump out her window and jump out a window onto a branch of the tree next to her window and stuff. And then they're gonna, and she does a cool superhero pose, and Bruno will be there, and then they make the bus and they head out to Avengers Con. Well, she's late. Oh, actually, I'm jumping ahead. She tells them the plan, and we're gonna take the bus. Or yeah, she gets out of there. They take the bus. They get to Avengers Con, and they have all the time. And then she wins and gets the tiara and all the plan and everything like that. That whole plan of action and everything is a full blown animation sequence basically, and it's awesome. Again, the animation that they dive in and out of on here, it's great. It's amazing. It's so good. But then so Bruno also brings up the idea of, oh, so you're thinking that we're just gonna take the bus. Your idea is just we take the bus and that's okay. And Bruno then also says, your mom's idea of doing the Hulk was wrong because you want to do Captain Marvel and anything, but maybe the addition of something like Pakistani to your Captain Marvel costume will be a good idea. This leads then Kamala to go up into her attic and grab that cool junk bracelet that she was looking at. Then we get now we're reaching like the final act here. We get the day of AvengerCon. It's that dinner. Now it's the dinner time. The dinner time, she is late. Getting out, she jumps out the window. The branch breaks. She can't get back in that way, so she'll have to find a new way back into her house and everything. Since she was late and Bruno was like jumping around the front window trying to get her attention, they missed the first bus. So it's just like, plan didn't go right. Branch broke. Didn't have a cool landing. We missed the bus. Bruno's like, we missed this bus, but there is another bus that if we try really hard, we can get to and still make, and it won't be, we can still make it there, and then we'll be able to make it back, and it'll all be good. And so they try so hard to make it. During that animation sequence, there was a part where they jump off the bridge on top of a bus and then ride fast enough to get in front of the bus with enough distance to jump in front of the bus, stop themselves, and have the bus then stop for them to get on. In this, they decide not to do that and just ride as fastly as they can to get to the next bus stop before the bus can leave. They get there. They're on their bikes, so they bring their bikes onto the bus. The bus driver just closes the door as Kamala is still trying to get in there and like shuts it on her hands, and her bike just drops out there. And she's like, how do you think that bike is still going to be there when we get back? And Bruno's like, there is a 0.0000 chance of that bike still being there, and that's sad. That's sad to see. They get to the convention. We get another awesome couple of needle drops throughout this. We've had great ones throughout the whole episode here. This was actually shot like a really neat and cool looking Comic-Con. I will say it was a little dark. Usually Comic-Cons aren't that dark. It's a little less ravey looking. It's a little brighter. But other than that, it was really cool. It was a really great looking, when I say, I guess, great looking con, I mean, the like vendors and stuff and like all of that kind of bit, like the background stuff and everything that they have going on there is all really great, and it all looks like very legit and all of a like con. It really felt like a true Comic Con in that sense, and so that was really great to see that. And I love Comic Cons. So excited to be able to um, get back and get in there. They are, we get an awesome montage of them doing all kinds of different stuff. They're trying on different clothes and costumes, eating some popcorn and stuff, ending up at the Captain Marvel display. Then we get the announcements for like, hey, everyone in the Captain Marvel cosplay competition, start making your way, start getting into your costumes and making your way to the stage. The competition will begin in a little bit or whatever. We get then Kamala going into the bathroom, changing into her costume. She leaves Bruno's gloves in the bathroom stall. It's a shame. It's a shame to see it. So those gloves were left in the bathroom stall. She gets her helmet and everything else on, and is still having a tough time opening up the junk bracelet that she got from her nanny, and it's still having a difficult time. And Bruno is talking with her and is like, hurry up, don't even worry about the gloves. She's like getting ready to go back. They make the final call. He's like, don't even worry about the gloves. The gloves are not of importance right now. Like, we don't have to worry about them. What you need to do is go out there and like compete and like attempt to win and everything. And as like that conversation is finishing from Bruno, the bracelet opens up, which is really cool. She puts it on, and then we get the great, like, awesome. She gets her powers. Basically sequence. Like, we see, the only way I can describe it is that it looked like a malleable kind of like almost Mirrorverse shield kind of looking stuff that kind of came over her. It's like, I mean, the Mirrorverse thing is what happens later on. What we get here, she's the final entry, so she gets up there. We see this like glowing aura. That's a better description for it. We see this glowing aura that comes over her like a protective shield, basically. And then we see like a little bit of a color change in her eyes, similar to what we saw with Monica Rambeau in WandaVision, when she gets like her little powers and stuff. And so then here we see this. She puts on her helmet. She goes out there and she competes. When she competes, she's able to shoot out. Basically, the only way I can describe it is, like I said, it's like this purple pink. Now, color wise, I didn't describe that before, but it's like this purple pink, basically like Mirrorverse chunks. And it's like a platform. I'm sure like if somebody was like falling, they could have been caught by that. And so that's what we get. We get different things. Like, she shoots out like a long arm that kind of like is like kind of moving like that, and then it's like boom, 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 boom. We get these like little little platform discs, kind of like Rocky looking mirror dimension looking disc things. And it's great. And in one of those things that she shoots out, it actually knocks off the Ant-Man's head, and this girl Zoe, who we met earlier in the episode, who used to be a friend, it seems like, of Kamala, Bruno, and their other girlfriend that they met earlier, talking about Super Smash Brothers. It seems like, or I'm sorry, this girl Zoe, who is also dressed up as Captain Marvel at this cosplay competition, seems to have also is also there, but is talking with Kamala and gets in the way, or doesn't get out of the way, of the chaos of the Ant-Man head kind of rolling around the whole place and like destroying everything. There's a great little and we get the confetti that shoots out across everything. But what happens is that Thor's hammer also comes loose. Mjolnir comes loose, takes Zoe out, and she's starting swinging like a pendulum on a clock or whatever, going back and forth like that, and eventually hits like a cloud or some other kind of structure thing, starts to fall all Gwen Stacy like, basically. Like there's a lot of Spider-Man vibes. Like I said, Spider-Man vibes are all over this, which makes sense due to just like how close in age Spider-Man, Kamala Khan, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, they're all in high school in that age range and stuff, and so like it makes sense that there's a lot of Spider-Man feels in there, and I don't know if it's necessarily like, hey, we really want or if it's just that universal like storytelling, like telling stories in this like time period, age period. And so, like, either way, I really like it. It was so cool to see all this stuff. But then we get, like, one of the, almost what I would have to call, like, the little bit that I know about Miss Marvel is that I believe it's like, she calls it, like, embiggen, or at least that might be, there. Spider-Man and his amazing friends, that's what she says. Embiggen. And then she can like grow really. Then she grows by her like the length of her like legs or arms or whatever, kind of like Mr. Fantastic, kind of stretches like that. Well, we get a really great look of it. Like that in the fact that when her like sort of rival, like social rival Zoe is falling, Kamala is able to throw her arm out and like extend it with her like mirrorverse power, like looking power kind of thing, and like grow her arm and biggen her arm to catch it, to catch her schoolmate Zoe, and like so she doesn't die and stuff, and she is a hero. She saved somebody. She did some good with her newly found powers. Granted, she kind of caused the chaos too, but like she was there to clean it up and try and clean it up and everything, and save people. So that was really great. It was really awesome. That whole sequence was just so cool. It was just so cool. And I just loved it. I just loved it so much. She gets home with Bruno super late, probably because they missed the buses. I can only assume that they missed the bus again. So then they had to ride strictly on Bruno's bike all the way home. She tries climbing up the front of her house and actually has to use her like newly found power again. And it does like one of those platform things, and then it helps like kind of airlift her up a little bit, and she's able to get in there. And who is anyone waiting for her? Of course, someone's waiting for her. Who is? Her mother. Mother's waiting for her. Where have you been? Like, I've been waiting here. Why are you being so rebellious? I don't mean to be, like, I don't want to be rebellious. Her mom's like, I want you, to focus on your story, on your grades. Do you want to be the good person like we raised you, or some cosmic head in the clouds kind of person? And her mom leaves. And then we get an awesome shot of Kamala falling back onto her bed, and it's like from the profile shot of her. It's great. She just falls back onto there, and she's looking at her bracelet, and then the powers kind of like start showing, like that aura starts showing around her. And she's like, I want to be cosmic. And I love the score here. Then we get the closing credit sequence. Then we get like I mean, I guess for TV it might be all post credit. I guess in that sense, it's like I thought it was a mid credit. Maybe I'm wrong, but we get a credit sequence, and it connects to Spider-Man: No Way Home in the fact that we get PV Clevey or something, I think is that FBI agent's name. But we get the FBI agent that was questioning like May Parker, Peter Parker, and all that stuff at the beginning of No Way Home before Matt Murdock came on and became his lawyer, and we had, spoilers, that awesome cameo. But the FBI agent got like a female FBI agent goes to that one from No Way Home, and it was like, hey, we've got this person with powers. We've never seen anything like that. Should we bring her in? And he's like, yeah, bring her in. And I've got to ask, is Miss Marvel the backdoor setup for Young Avengers? We saw a Kid Loki. We saw Wiccan and what the hell is his other name? Billy and Tommy, Wanda and Vision's kids, and we saw them in WandaVision, and then you see them again if you haven't seen, again, spoilers for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. They also make an appearance there as well. And so we get, and now we also have Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, who's also a Young Avenger. So we have a Kid Loki appearance that we got in the Loki TV series. We have Wanda Maximoff's boys that we saw appear, that we've seen twice now. We've seen them twice. We have Kate Bishop, who we saw in Hawkeye, and now we have Miss Marvel being shown here. So that's 4. We only got 2 more that we really need to see before they come together. So maybe, especially with the FBI being like, bring them in. What are they gonna do? Try and like, I don't know. I'm excited to see where the rest of this goes. I really enjoyed this. I thought there was just so much great stuff to talk about in this episode, in this story. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see what they do here with this and how this story continues for Miss Marvel and Kamala Khan here. And with all of that, I want to thank you for joining me. I am Jimmy with the Triple C Collective here on this Superhero Saturday. I hope you all stay safe. Have a great day.